Broadcasting live from the mountains of Montana, get ready for an hour of pure, unapologetic conservative talk radio. Liberals beware, because this is the Wise Conservative Show.
Hello and welcome to episode 121 of the Wise Conservative Show. I'm your host, Connor Wise. If you didn't know, I'm sure you did, Kavanaugh was finally confirmed to the Supreme Court. The long battle of political character assassination finally ended. We got one of the most qualified nominees finally confirmed after what seemed to be like the longest process in the world. All the way since July, I believe, is when my very first episode came out talking about the nomination of Judge and now Justice Brett Kavanaugh. So starting off, we're actually going to talk about Kavanaugh a little bit. Not going to go too deep into it. Not going to talk about him for too long because, well, he's been the center of the news for the past month or so. But just going over really what has happened since the confirmation. Kavanaugh has already hired a team of 4 women as his law clerks, being the first Supreme Court justice to actually have an all-woman team of law clerks. Now, let's also just remind you guys that this is the same person that Democrats 1 week ago, less than a week ago, and still today, are calling a womanizer, are calling a misogynist. Someone who's the first, and this isn't something new to try and make up for the claims, because he also, as a lower judge, he already had an all-woman law clerk team. So this isn't him trying to make up for the allegations like so many Democrats are claiming. This is him just being him. This is him doing what he does best. And that's being a very civil person, a very caring person, and someone who judges people based on their experience, based on their qualification, not based on their political agendas or their looking at them as a special interest group that we all know Democrats do. So before I get into the nitty-gritty details of the Kavanaugh stuff, I'm just going to run over what I'm doing in this episode so you guys know what's coming up. We got a little bit on Kavanaugh, some of the Democratic tactics that they're still using to try and turn the tide of the Supreme Court, even right now. And then Hillary Clinton is back in the headlines along with Eric Holder. We're going to go over what they have been saying, and then, of course, the biggest news that came out yesterday that surprised us all with Nikki Haley resigning as the UN ambassador. But let's get right back into Kavanaugh because, well, he's already coming out as this amazing person, and Democrats already have, well, tactics, 5 schemes to counter Kavanaugh's confirmation that they're trying to already implement. So the first option, and perhaps the most crazy and, the worst idea that they could have had for this, and that they're actually urging, some people in the Democratic Party are urging for, and that's packing the court. So if you don't know what packing the court is, basically the president is able to expand the Supreme Court, and then since they're the president, they nominate the people that they want to go into the court. FDR, of course, famously threatened to pack the court with as many as 15 justices after the Supreme Court ruled against his New Deal measures. So it is actually a thing that could have happened, and it's obviously been expanded in the past to the amount of justices that we have now. And there's Democrats, including Michael Avenatti, of course, the lawyer for Stormy Daniels, and Julie Swetnick, one of the Kavanaugh accusers. He's backed the scheme, continuously tweeting out that we need to pack the court. Let's read his tweets here. In light of the Garland seat that was stolen, together with the events of today and the hiding of documents, etc., the court must be expanded to 11 seats after 2020. The Democratic nominee must commit to this or not receive the nomination, in my opinion. There is far too much at stake. Now, that was a previous tweet, and then he retweeted that picture of it and said this: "The blow is more true today than ever before. The court must be expanded to 11 seats, and it can be done, under the law. Any Democrat that does not commit to expanding the court has no business running for the nomination. There is far too much at stake." Now, of course, the nomination he is referencing is the presidential nomination. So this radical and very extreme tactic that Avenatti is really pushing for has no Democratic lawmakers backing it yet, but I feel like at some point we're going to have a Maxine Waters or a Dianne Feinstein really getting behind this because it's just radical enough. A lot of them are accusing Trump of undermining America's institutions, and so I can see them going very radical in their tactics to try and get Kavanaugh off the court, or just trying to sway the favor to liberals in the terms of the Supreme Court. Now, the next idea that I've heard a lot of people call for, including actual representatives and senators, is impeachment. So, impeaching a president, we all know, is very rare. But impeaching a Supreme Court justice is far more rare. It's only happened once. It's only been pursued once in American history. It didn't even happen. It was just pursued once. This idea was already talked about by Senator Cory Booker, of course, the Democrat from New Jersey. He said that the option of impeaching Kavanaugh should not be ruled out, and said he would support further investigation into the newest justice. Quote, "If there is conclusory evidence that shows up unequivocally that he lied to a Senate committee, that is a crime and he should be held accountable for those criminal acts." So I want to touch on this real quick. So before the last FBI investigation into Kavanaugh, he already had 6 FBI investigations into him, into his background, into his past, into his dealings with other people. 6. So that's already a crazy number. And then you have this most recent FBI investigation that came out after the claims of all of these sexual abuse accusers, rape accusations, sexual assault accusations. After these claims were out there, after all the information was out there, the statements were taken, the people were interviewed, and nothing came out from that investigation. In fact, it showed that there was no corroboration for any of the claims, including Dr. Ford's. Yet Cory Booker is still saying that Kavanaugh is guilty. He's still saying that Kavanaugh needs to be investigated further. He is perhaps the most investigated Supreme Court justice that there is. He's been investigated and investigated more. When it came out that the FBI investigation showed no corroboration, I believe it was Republicans that came out and said that, I was thinking, oh, well, Democrats are going to say, this points to this, and there has to be corroboration. But I didn't even see Democrats saying that there was corroboration after reading the FBI investigation. And that's how you know that Kavanaugh was truly innocent, and that there was not one shred of doubt after the investigation. Because even Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, Cory Booker didn't even say that there was corroboration for any of these things. None of these people were even able to say that he was guilty after the next investigation. So that's how you know that there's not one shred of evidence for it. Moving on to the next tactic, though. Constitutional overhaul. So basically what this entails, and it's a very extreme measure, it's basically changing the Constitution so that Democrats win the presidency. Now, of course, this is talking about the Electoral College. Democrats are now again renewing their calls to abolish the Electoral College so that a Democrat can win the presidency, and then from there they can nominate more liberal justices. They want to abolish the thing that our founders put in place so that the small states, the small populations, aren't ruled by mob rule. So that the states like Montana or Oklahoma or all those small states, Kansas, these states in the middle that typically do vote red, but that has nothing to do with why the founders put it there. These states in the middle that don't have these giant cities that are dominated by leftists, those states still have a say in the presidential election. See, Democrats want a system that is mob rule. And that's no surprise to me after seeing the way that they behaved during the Kavanaugh hearings. They tried to rule it like a mob. They had protesters yelling and screaming, shouting at Kavanaugh, at Republicans. They have people go to GOP lawmakers' houses, to restaurants that they're eating, to threaten them, to vandalize, to yell at them in public, or even scare them. We had people send pictures to lawmakers of a Kavanaugh beheading that they made. That's not normal. And that's exactly why we need the Electoral College. Because these people think that because it's their opinion, that it ought to be the opinion of everyone. These are the people that think that because they hate Kavanaugh, because they've listened to CNN, to ABC, they've been brainwashed by the liberal media, that everyone should think the same thing. These are the people in cities like LA, San Francisco, New York, Miami. These big cities that are always going to vote blue. These people that become violent when someone disagrees with them. These are the people that would have their way. These authoritarian people. Because yeah, they're authoritarian. They want to use the government to enforce their beliefs. That's authoritarianism. They want to use the government to enforce what they believed against other people, to get rid of other opinions. And that's exactly who would be in power if the Electoral College was abolished. And I think that would be incredibly damaging to our nation, to our republic, to the rights that we have, to our liberties, to our freedoms. It would be incredibly damaging just to our well-being and our safety. Because these people that have mental breakdowns over the confirmation of a very, very incredibly justified nominee to the Supreme Court, when they have mental breakdowns over that, they're not okay. They're not stable. They're melting, being triggered by this. These are the people that are calling for the Electoral College to be abolished because they don't think other opinions should matter. They want mob rule, and they show it in force, in threats, in assaults, in shooting up GOP baseball practices. That's who they want. And of course, our favorite nominee for the U.S. House of Representatives, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the future of the Democratic Party, according to the chairman of the DNC, also wants this. And of course, she's as radical as they come, possibly even more radical and ill-informed than Bernie Sanders himself. Well, she actually retweeted someone who tweeted this: "We are a country where two presidents who both lost the popular vote have now placed 4 justices on the Supreme Court. Democracy in action." And then Ocasio-Cortez retweeted that and said, "It is well past time we eliminate the Electoral College. a shadow of slavery's power on America today that undermines our nation as a democratic republic. And folks, I've been thinking about this for a while. I've really been putting my mind to this and trying to figure it out. But I have no clue how the Electoral College is a shadow of slavery. I've really been trying to figure out what her mindset was when she said this, where she was going with this, but I can't understand it. Maybe it's because the founders owned slaves and they created the Electoral College, but that's the thinnest argument anyone could make. Sadly, some people make that against the Constitution. But that's the only sort of reasoning I can think of, and this is just a long line of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez comments, tweets, responses that have no logical bearing, that make no sense whatsoever, and that just proves that she went to college, got a degree in economics somehow, and yet still doesn't know how anything in our nation works. Doesn't know how the Electoral College works, doesn't know how economics work, doesn't know anything, doesn't even know the duties of a representative, even though she's running for that. She's a very crazy person. But moving on to the next tactic. Term limits on SCOTUS justices. So basically, what's happening here is people are arguing that because the Constitution just says that SCOTUS judges hold their offices during good behavior, that they should decide just right now that, Kavanaugh's not in good behavior, and they should limit how long he's on the Supreme Court because of that, because his past wasn't good behavior, is exactly what this article was saying, and what Senator Ed Markey from Massachusetts was saying. And this goes exactly against the Supreme Court. I mean, they're supposed to be there apart from political differences. They're supposed to be there, so that politics doesn't get involved, so that they don't have to have terms and be reelected, because the only way you can have term limits is if you have terms. And the only way to have terms is if you're elected or chosen for it. And the president can't be going through every 6 years, like in Senate, and choose justices again. You can't hold elections on Supreme Court justices because that goes exactly against what the Supreme Court is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a political office, even though Democrats want it to be. Democrats want politicians on the Supreme Court so that Democrats, whatever the rhetoric is that day, should be enforced. So basically, all of these rules, all of these tactics that Democrats are pursuing are finding weird ways, extreme ways to undermine our Constitution, to undermine our republic, to undermine the will of the United States citizens, to undermine anyone who isn't a Democrat. It's just more of their twisted, sick political games that they can't seem to overlook at any point. And they're just continuing, going farther and farther left, farther and farther extreme. All right, when we come back, Eric Holder and Hillary Clinton's comments. Don't go anywhere. This is Wise Conservative Show.
Hey everybody, Connor Wise here with an exclusive clip from the Wise Conservative Show. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back.
And we have to continually remember that if we let the wrong people get in power, those liberties can be taken away. We have to remember that government is just a burden on the people. that is not our savior, that is not who gives us our rights. People all across America are waking up and realizing that fake news isn't helping our nation. People are realizing that they don't deliver the facts, nor do they deliver the truth. The fake news era is coming to an end, and that's exactly why Patriot News Radio was created. On Patriot News Radio, you have a wide selection of conservative talk hosts, including myself with the Wise Conservative Show. Patriot News Radio streams 24/7 on TuneIn Radio, so you can just go to the app or to the website and stream it. Also, if you have a Google Home device, all you have to do is say, "Hey Google, play Patriot News Radio," and there you have it, Patriot News Radio, right in your own home. Patriot News Radio delivers you the facts and the truth 24/7. Patriot News Radio, where America comes to talk.
Ever wanted to learn the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in less than 10 minutes? Are you looking for the truth about the so-called gender wage gap? Well, my friends, I'll let you in on a little secret. Prager University is a source that I use all the time when preparing for my show, the Jason Veely Program. Dennis Prager and his team have put together a remarkable organization that seeks to explain and spread Americanism through the power of the internet. Their short yet extremely informative videos reach more than 100 million people per year, and they want to reach you as well. Go on YouTube and type in Prager University, or go to prageru.com for all of their latest content. That's Prager, the letter U.com. prageru.com.
Are you having trouble getting a merchant account? Maybe you need an international payment gateway, or you just got rejected by another merchant account provider. No problem. iPayTotal wants your business. Our high-risk merchant accounts allow you to accept all major credit and debit cards. Our Moto payment gateway allows accepting transactions on the phone. iPayTotal delivers payment solutions and products to help grow your business. Contact us now for your payment processing at iPayTotal.com. iPayTotal, your online payments partner.
Calling all young conservatives. Have you ever wanted to write for an online publication? What about host your own conservative radio program? Now you can, thanks to YouthRevolt.org. Youth Revolt is a conservative media network for young people, the goal of which is to educate our fellow Americans, and also to expose the left-wing indoctrination that goes on in classrooms across the country. Become part of a team that is dedicated to taking the country back, one radio program or opinion column at a time. If you're interested, go to YouthRevolt.org and click on Join Us on the top of the page. Fill out our brief questionnaire, and one of our representatives will be in touch with you in no time at all. The time to reclaim our future is now. Be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, and join the movement today. Youth Revolt. Speak without fear.
A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There are people in this nation that would have you give up your rights, that would have you turn in your guns. We have these people who are in office, we have these people who are marching in our streets, that are walking out of their schools. People who think that your right is not important. On the Wise Conservative Show, we know that your rights matter, and we will tell you the truth about your liberties. We will tell you the truth about all the issues happening and the facts around all of these debates. For your daily dose of conservatism, for your daily dose of the facts and the truth, tune into the Wise Conservative Show every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on Youth Revolt. Democrats seem to have really lost it when it comes to their message of tolerance, their message of being the party of tolerance and accepting everyone's viewpoints. Eric Holder and Hillary Clinton are just two more in a long line of Democrats to abandon that message. Welcome back to the Wise Conservative Show. I'm your host, Connor Wise, and guys, Eric Holder, I've talked about him before on this show. I'm not a fan, obviously. He says some very demeaning things towards Republicans and especially towards our president. Well, Eric Holder seems to be lining up a 2020 presidential run. He's campaigning quite a bit. He's making very controversial statements to get attention on him. I really do believe that Eric Holder is going to be running for president in 2020, and I hope that he does, because there is no way, and this isn't like when the news said that Donald Trump had no way of winning. There is absolutely no way that independents will vote for Eric Holder after all of these comments that he's making. So basically what Eric Holder went on his rant a few days ago on Sunday at a campaign event. He pretty much rejected the Democratic notion that they usually followed, or at least tried to say that they followed in the past. If you recall, in 2016, as Donald Trump was launching a very aggressive campaign against Hillary Clinton, the Democrats, besides for Hillary Clinton, her immediate campaign members, like Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, even Eric Holder back then, they tried to portray themselves as the bigger person, tried to portray themselves as this nice person that wouldn't demean other people, that wouldn't stoop to that level. Of course, Hillary Clinton was saying the same things at the time, but also calling half of Americans deplorable. Well, Eric Holder's finally on the Hillary Clinton train of just not caring anymore. And so basically, he abandoned Michelle Obama's saying that she always says. She said it at previous campaign events throughout the past, in 2016, and even recently in interviews, saying when they go low, we go high. Well, now Eric Holder put a little bit of a twist on it. Take a listen.
They have used the power that they have gotten for all the wrong things. They want to keep themselves in power. They want to cater to the special interests. It is time for us as Democrats to be as tough as they are, to be as dedicated as they are, to be as committed as they are. Michelle always says, Michelle Obama, I love her, you know. She and my wife, like, really tight, which always scares me and Barack. But Michelle always says that, you know, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them. That's what this new Democratic Party is about. We're proud as hell to be Democrats. We're willing to fight for the ideals of the Democratic Party. We're proud of our history. We're proud of our present. And we're proud of the future that we can create for this country. And we're not in this just to make a statement. We're in this to win. Yes.
All right, so I'm going to comment on that in a second and how crazy it is. But take a listen to what Hillary Clinton also just said in an interview with CNN.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about.
So basically, Hillary Clinton also called for not being civil, for being aggressive, for showing, in her own words, strength against Republicans. So now they're falling in line with Maxine Waters, with Cory Booker, these people who are actually threatening Republicans, who are urging their supporters, urging Democrats to go out and be aggressive towards Republicans, to go out and threaten Republicans, to kick Republicans while they're down. Now, Eric Holder says that he didn't mean, I don't think that they should actually kick the people. I don't want them to do anything like that. He said it way after he actually made the statement and agreed with the people chanting at that campaign event fight after he said that. He might have said that he doesn't want them to actually be aggressive, but we all know he does. We all know that the Democratic Party has gone to such a disturbing place that they are actually urging their supporters, urging anti-Trumpers to go out and attack Republicans, attack administration officials. You know, before, it was mainly just Maxine Waters that was calling for this sort of extremism. Yeah, we had Cory Booker occasionally making comments that could also be perceived this way. But Eric Holder and Hillary Clinton are two very senior names in the Democratic Party, very high up names, leadership names, and they're also calling for it. And they're not saying, oh no, don't do anything like this. They're just saying, oh, I might not have meant that. Hillary Clinton's actually not even denying that she didn't mean to be actually aggressive. She said that they can't be civil until Democrats take back the majority. Then civility is back on the table. Then we can maybe be civil to them. But for the entire time the Republicans have control of the Senate or the House, we can't be civil. So what this boils down to, after that statement from Hillary Clinton, after the statement from Eric Holder, Democrats are just being petty on their 2016 loss still. They're still angry at the fact that the Electoral College exists. They're angry at the fact that Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton despite all of the leftist polls out there. They're still angry at the fact that Republicans have control of both the House and the Senate, and they're even more angry after the confirmation of Justice Kavanaugh. So they're just taking it to an extreme. There's no more of them saying, oh yeah, we accept all viewpoints. There's no more of them saying that if you disagree, we are okay with that, but we support this for reason A, B, and C. You know, there's no more political discourse, no more debates. It's boiled down to personal attacks. It's boiled down to threats of violence. There's no more political discourse. And this is shown throughout every single election that's going on for the midterms right now, every single campaign. The Democratic campaign strategy at this point is to be as angry and as violent as they can towards their opponents and only show attack ads. I'm not sure if I have mentioned this to you guys yet, but here in Montana, the Senate election, the campaigns are very brutal. Mostly the Republican, Matt Rosendale, is just exposing the multiple lies that Jon Tester has told throughout his tenure as a senator, and how he's promised certain things, but he's never delivered. That's pretty much as far as the attacks go. But then you have Jon Tester, the Democrat, having all of these attack ads saying that Matt Rosendale isn't a true Montanan, that Matt Rosendale isn't who he says, that he's not even a rancher because he doesn't currently own cattle. I think I did mention this last week, actually. It's a very intense campaign that Jon Tester is running, and as I look through all of these other elections, all these other campaigns throughout the nation, I mean, we have in California for governor, you have Gavin Newsom attacking John Cox for not being from California originally, for being from Chicago, and all of these attacks throughout the entire nation. And even within the Democratic Party, we saw attacks between Cuomo and Nixon in that debate. So the Democratic campaign strategy at this point is just to be completely violent, completely hostile, not show any civility whatsoever. These are the same people, though, that are blaming Republicans for the political division within our nation. And I'm not saying it's all Democrats' fault, because definitely both parties are at fault here. There's people on both sides that have tried to solve the polarization. But Republicans at this point haven't been as dirty, haven't been as violent, and have definitely not urged people to be violent towards the opposite party. Republicans aren't urging people to go to Hillary Clinton's house and to kick her out of restaurants, to when they see a Clinton supporter or a Booker supporter, insert Democratic person here, supporter, at a gas station, at a restaurant, at a store, to tell them that they're not wanted. Republicans aren't doing that. Yeah, we have our differences with Democrats. Yes, we do expose them for the lies that they tell in Congress for when they say that they want to do one thing, but then they go against it. Republican campaigns have always used that as a strategy. But it's not like we're going out of our way to tell the most extreme things we can, to blatantly lie, to blatantly encourage people to attack the other party. Republicans aren't doing that. And so at this point in time, it's the Democratic Party that's adding to the hostility in our nation. It's the Democratic Party that's adding to the polarization in our nation. I've been doing phone calls to voters, volunteering for Americans for Prosperity. It's a great organization if you want to check it out. But basically, we've been calling voters, talking to them about the Senate election here and the different issues. And there's so many people that when I'm talking to them, they're just tired of these political games that have been being played, the hostile attacks, and I couldn't agree more. The Democratic Party has taken this hostility farther than our nation has ever seen in its history. To the point when people are actually afraid of them actually being killed, assassinated by Democratic supporters. I mean, just a little bit ago, we had a Bernie Sanders supporter shoot up a GOP baseball practice. We've had death threats sent to multiple GOP senators and representatives over different issues, from tax cuts to health care to most recently with Kavanaugh. Susan Collins, after she said that she was going to vote yes, and even before she said that she was going to vote yes, she got threats. She had tons of coat hangers sent to her office saying that that's what would happen for abortion if Kavanaugh is confirmed. She's just one in a long list of senators, a long list of GOP senators that's gotten these kind of threats. Rand Paul was attacked by his neighbor, who is a very extreme leftist, attacked while he was just mowing his lawn. That's the kind of environment that Democratic representatives, senators, and just voices of the party in general are calling for. And it's dangerous. Because while no one has been killed yet, while Scalise still survived after intense surgery, while Rand Paul recovered from his extensive injuries, while the mysterious letters containing ricin sent to the Pentagon, to the White House, to senator offices, Ted Cruz's office, while those didn't kill anyone, the remarks of these Democratic representatives, senators, leadership voices, these remarks are going to lead to even more hostility, to the possibilities of someone being killed, to more people being hurt. But no one's denouncing that. No one's saying, don't go out and hurt Republicans. Don't go out and hurt Trump supporters. The left has become unhinged. They've become radical extremist. And it's making our nation much more dangerous than it needs to be. It's really keeping our nation in this polarized state, in this hostile state, and no one's trying to fix it from the Democratic Party. I'm going to take one last quick commercial break. When we come back, a little bit more on the Clintons, and also Nikki Haley's letter of resignation. Don't go anywhere. This is the Wise Conservative Show. Hey everybody, Connor Wise here with an exclusive clip from the Wise Conservative Show. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. And that's how a government should be run, folks. You can't legislate based on emotion, based on morality. You have to legislate based on the truth and the facts. It's something that Democrats seem to have struggled with, and it's something that they continue to struggle with when it comes to the immigration debate.
Ever wanted to learn the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in less than 10 minutes? Are you looking for the truth about the so-called gender wage gap? Well, my friends, I'll let you in on a little secret. Prager University is a source that I use all the time when preparing for my show, the Jason Veely Program. Dennis Prager and his team have put together a remarkable organization that seeks to explain and spread Americanism through the power of the internet. Their short yet extremely informative videos reach more than 100 million people per year, and they want to reach you as well. Go on YouTube and type in Prager University, or go to prageru.com for all of their latest content. That's Prager, the letter U.com. prageru.com.
People all across America are waking up and realizing that fake news isn't helping our nation. People are realizing that they don't deliver the facts, nor do they deliver the truth. The fake news era is coming to an end, and that's exactly why Patriot News Radio was created. On Patriot News Radio, you have a wide selection of conservative talk hosts, including myself, with the Wise Conservative Show. Patriot News Radio streams 24/7 on TuneIn Radio, so you can just go to the app or to the website and stream it. Also, if you have a Google Home device, all you have to do is say, "Hey Google, play Patriot News Radio," and there you have it, Patriot News Radio, right in your own home. Patriot News Radio delivers you the facts and the truth 24/7. Patriot News Radio, where America comes to talk.
And that, class, is why America is the worst country in the history of the world.
Are you sick of your professors telling you lies?
Now remember, children, if you're white, it means you're privileged. Don't ever forget that.
Do you sit through class convinced that your head is going to explode at any given moment? Sounds like you could use some backup. Visit youthrevolt.org for exclusive content produced by young conservatives for young conservatives. Youth Revolt features a dedicated team of radio hosts, political columnists, and video bloggers, all of whom are 100% committed to taking back the future of this country. So what are you waiting for? Tune out your Marxist professor and visit youthrevolt.org now.
A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There are people in this nation that would have you give up your rights, that would have you turn in your guns. We have these people who are in office, we have these people who are marching in our streets, that are walking out of their schools. People who think that your right is not important. On the Wise Conservative Show, we know that your rights matter, and we will tell you the truth about your liberties. We will tell you the truth about all the issues happening and the facts around all of these debates. For your daily dose of conservatism, for your daily dose of the facts and the truth. Tune into the Wise Conservative Show every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on Youth Revolt. Welcome back to this last segment of the Wise Conservative Show. I'm your host, Connor Wise. We're just going to touch on it really quickly because I'm really tired of talking about Hillary Clinton, and I really wish she would stop making such controversial statements because it's just constant. She doesn't know when to stop. But this isn't about something else that she said, not yet at least. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are going to be campaigning for the Democratic Party, embarking on this speaker tour. And, well, this is just another way for them to make immense amounts of money for their very diluted opinions. The tickets go up to $745 to hear Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton talk about previous elections and have people like Taylor Swift and Jay-Z at a couple of the tour locations because we all know that they're very outspoken against Trump. So basically what's going to happen is they're going to talk about the current political state, going to give more speeches that they've been paid millions of dollars for in the past, that they've made their money for somehow. And it's going to go until May of 2019. And guys, I'm really going through this very quickly because I want to get to the next part. But basically, this is going to help the GOP. Wherever Hillary Clinton goes to campaign, we see numbers for Democratic candidates drop. She's going to be campaigning in Florida. That's a very tight race for governor there. So I'm very glad that she's going on this campaign. It's just like if Maxine Waters ran for president. It's something that you hope for because it's going to doom the Democratic Party, especially with the combination of Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. It's an unmatchable superstorm of terrible comments, of degrading half the nation, and of just saying things that shouldn't be said. So it's going to help the GOP. It's going to help our liberty-oriented candidates. It's going to help independents really decide who they're voting for. But real quickly, it's been the biggest news of the week. It just came out yesterday. Nikki Haley resigned, handed in her letter of resignation to the president, saying that she is going to resign from her post as UN ambassador. No one knows exactly why she did. I believe because she wants to just limit herself. As she says in it, she is a strong believer of term limits. But I'm not going to read you the whole letter. I'm just going to basically paraphrase a few parts of it for you, because it's very revealing about her relationship with Donald Trump as in terms of an ambassador, and also her viewpoints of the whole situation and why exactly she's kind of just going back into the private sector. So basically, she starts off by saying that when she was offered the position, she accepted on 2 terms that Donald Trump agreed to. The 2 terms being serving in his cabinet, which was a big issue because it was the first time that the UN ambassador was treated as a cabinet position, and on the National Security Council, and also her being free to speak her mind on the issues of the day, which we all know from her fiery speeches in the UN. She spoke her mind, and she let other nations know what was going on. She let the public know what exactly was happening, and she called out people when they needed to be called out. She was an amazing UN ambassador. She went on to say that she is a strong supporter of term limits, as I just referenced, and that she believes that the rotation in office, quote, benefits the public. She mentioned that between the UN ambassadorship and also serving in South Carolina as a governor and in the General Assembly, that for 14 straight years she's been in politics. And she expects Donald Trump as a businessman to appreciate her sense that returning from the government to the private sector is, quote, not a step down, but a step up. And so she's prepared to serve until January 2019 to give time for a replacement. And she also said that she looks forward to helping President Trump in his re-election efforts in 2020. Nikki Haley will be missed as the UN ambassador. She was a very good choice from Donald Trump for that position. And I'm sad to see her go, but I'm excited for what the future holds in the position and excited to see who we get there next. All right, that's all for today's episode of The Wise Conservative Show. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. You can find the show on Spreaker.com, iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, and many more places. Like The Wise Conservative Show's Facebook page. That way you can hear about it every week. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. And as always, God bless.